ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa has just been addressing a meeting after attending a Provincial Executive Committee meeting in the Eastern Cape. He's been talking about how the ANC needs to continue with its program of renewal. He says the party has lost some of its shine in recent years, but that can indeed be restored. There's also been worry in the Eastern Cape about infighting and political killings at branch and regional structures. For more on the situation in that province, let's bring in political analyst Ongama Mtimka, who speaks to us from the Eastern Cape. Ongama, very good evening to you. Always good to have you on the program. So Ramaphosa is basically taking the January 8 message on a national tour along with the Deputy President, David Mabuza. But what are the dynamics in the Eastern Cape currently that would warrant him in particular being on the ground?
Yeah, being visible here is quite important for the President, Tembekile. You'd recall that the province goes into its conference, elective conference, I think mid next month. So being visible here is crucial. And I think that part of his strategy would be hedging his bets on whatever the outcome here, that he becomes safe. I think that there would be a lot of political work in between the official program. Very interesting speech covering a lot of things, but there's a lot that is still, missing in terms of what the ANC does on a number of those things that he has highlighted. For example, around issues of renewal, who qualifies for leadership, what role should, through the eye of the needle, play in elective processes of the party. It's quite interesting that ANC leaders, I think in the recent past, lack no skill as far as diagnosing problems are concerned. Where the problems lie is mainly in the area of taking leadership and making the bold steps that are necessary in order to finally deal, for example, with that issue that he's talking about, manipulation of party processes. How long have they known about that, and why is there no movement at all as far as clipping off that power from power brokers from regional to national levels?
And the Eastern Cape is no stranger to internal strife in the Eastern Cape. At some point it got so bad that members were standing against each other in court. I recall at that time there was even a term coined outside leadership from a conference.
Yes, so in the last conference, you'd recall, where the current chairperson, then the secretary, was going against Phumulo Masualle, who was vying for a third term in the province. And we know that the outcome of that conference was violence, where, people didn't, I think it was after the acceptance of credentials, which underscores this point that manipulation of processes in the party has been an issue, is an issue, and I think that there are concerns about it leading to the conference next month. So the problem, though, is that you don't see reform at a national level as a policy standpoint which is being acted on, where those things that he was talking about, where people would campaign for office, though they have some cases to answer, or in some instances, cases have been dropped based on their weakness, but the party has been brought into disrepute by those people. And you find that there's a likelihood that the allegations they are facing may resurface. Now, you've got those people in regions in the province who are occupying powerful positions, and they are instrumental in processes of going to the provincial conference. So it's tiring that the party, whether it's at provincial or national levels, talks about the need to renew the organization, while at the same time they're not doing anything at all as far as leadership and changing of processes to ensure that the party is protected. So this renewal, which is harping on, is going to remain a pipe dream until that day that the obituary of the party is officially written.
Should we also read Ramaphosa's presence in the Eastern Cape this weekend as a soft launch, if you will, of his re-election campaign? Because he's already had some endorsement there, even though the run-up or the contest to the December conference is yet to open officially.
Obviously, he's pegging it on, so he was explaining it in what I read earlier as a process of reviewing electoral outcomes from LGE, and then what you cited earlier on about taking the message of the party to the various provinces and regions. But it's obviously campaigning. What's tiring about the ANC is this, backward approach to campaigning where you must hide behind party processes, and it's not done in the light, as it were, where a candidate is allowed and more candidates are allowed. So what you will see is that ANC candidates throughout the country, throughout this year, are going to use either memorial lectures or official party programs in order to drive their campaigns, whereas the party could simply regulate this, get over its 80s mentality of, no, I'm willing to lead if the branches want me to lead, otherwise I'm not actively campaigning, while beneath the surface people are campaigning. That's why it's become dangerous to campaign for the party, because you need people on the ground who can manipulate processes in your favor, and these people who manipulate things are alleged to be on both sides of the divide, both the ones who are claiming to be pushing a renewal of the party and those that are, framed as anti-rule of law, anti-procedure.
Final one about the chairperson of the ANC in the Eastern Cape, Oscar Mabuyane. He's already also faced some challenge. Names being thrown around to contest him for the role of provincial chairperson include Babalo Matigizela, who is a member of the PEC, Mlibo Qoboshiane, who's the current Speaker of the Eastern Cape Legislature. Who stands a better chance of the three men?
Obviously, there's an advantage to being the incumbent, especially when the relationship with the sitting secretary is not significantly strained. And then Babalo is said to have a very strong base as well, which is well resourced. And the allegation is that his money has been thrown into his campaign and is aiding, he is helping him to put up a formidable campaign. And then Libo is a very popular leader. And concerns about him from some of the people who follow him is whether or not he's got the appetite to carry through, the fight, or in fact, some of the concerns are that he may have started his campaign too late and can only work if it turns out that a compromise candidate becomes a viable option at the conference.
Ongama Mtimka, political analyst, speaking to us about the situation in the Eastern Cape from Gqeberha in that province. Thank you for your time tonight, Ongama.